even come in here during the week at all?
Yeah, but you know me and my greens, man. You know what I'm saying? You know me and my greens. No, I'm usually in here 2 or 3 days a week. It's kind of my little quiet space. I don't want to get away from the world. I steal the fan from the kids' room. I should buy my own, but you know me. So what's going on? It is Sunday the what? Welcome to the parlay. Yeah. Not much, man. There's so much. So much.
There is a lot to talk about, but before we get started on that, I want to run something across to you. I say, and it just started popping up in my head when you sent me that link, or not the link, but you sent me that thing that said, our first podcast was July 19th of last year. So it got me thinking, when you do stuff for more than a year, you expect to get better. I don't think we've gotten better at this. I think we talk better, but we still do shit the same way. We still do live streams every Sunday.
All right.
I think we need to get this editing down to where we can put on a professional type show. Like, we need to step our game up.
You're right.
There's no point in doing shit if we're not going to get better.
So we're going to have to.
And I don't mean like getting monetized or anything like that. Maybe a third step or fourth step down the road. But we need to make better podcasts.
Right.
So maybe 1 week we don't go live. Let's come out here and practice our editing skills. We'll do a 30-second video, 2 or 3 or 4 30-second videos, and learn how to clip those together. Maybe just start getting better at this.
Yeah.
So we'll only be live 3 days a week, and once we get better at this, we can do 1 live show a week. And in that live show, we can clip together some to make it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or maybe just something. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe we'll do more recorded, edited, professional type shows, and just do 1 live show a month or every 2 weeks to engage with our viewers. Because the live show is where you're supposed to engage with your viewers.
Right.
The video content is what we put out as our content.
Right.
So to speak.
Right.
Just an idea for us to think about.
Because this gives us.
You got a lot of changes coming up. You're getting ready to move. You're getting whole new changes. Might as well start focusing on change in other areas.
Right.
Right.
I'm trying to pull little tiny what would they call them, blow ups. Went out and bought me some new Converse today, some All Stars. They started putting padding in them. They're the perfect shoe now.
Chuck Taylor?
Yeah. Yeah, they got a little padding on the sides now. They're not too thick. They got a little padding on the sides. You don't feel like you're walking directly on a concrete floor. Did you ever have a pair when you were a kid? Did you ever jump?
Yeah. I mean, you only do it once or twice.
Yeah. Who the hell played professional basketball in those things?
And the names of those players should be reserved for the best accolades you could receive in professional sports.
Right.
If you were able to jump with those things and land without tearing an ACL, you're doing something.
That by itself.
You're doing
that's a feat. That's amazing. That's amazing. No, I was thinking the other day. I was like, I was asking myself, so because you're at the same point I am in the thought process, but you're on a shit or get off the pot, and I'm on a is the video ad necessary? Could we invest in better sound equipment? Just do a solid podcast, because I'll be honest, the adding in the YouTube clips and yada yada yada, we're gonna have to get real good at that, or
Well, the way I look at it, dude, I watch quite a few podcasts.
Right.
And the ones that I watch are never, repeat, like never live. Never are they live.
Right.
All the podcasts I watch, you'll get once a month. Sometimes there's a couple of my sports related podcasts that I watch that'll come out with something once a week, where it's a live viewer and someone will answer the viewers' questions as they comment, live Q&A kind of things. But none of my podcasts are live. None of them.
Right.
They all are, scripted clips. Then as you're speaking on the clip, you have something rolling in the background. Maybe we need to get a green screen and like you and I sit side by side and have the green screen in between us.
I've been thinking about that
I don't know.
too.
I don't know. Just ideas that we can.
I was going to move
with.
this around a couple weeks ago and have us like side by side. Something I need to personally work on is keeping my ass up here with the microphones and not back here talking. Yeah. So, no, I've actually.
And that's all things that you learn
I watch little
when
YouTube
you're editing
videos.
your videos.
I watch little YouTube videos about etiquette and shit too. I get extra time.
When you're editing the videos, you're watching every second of that video. So
Right.
the sound quality is shitty when you lean back. So
Yeah,
maybe we need to upgrade our microphones to
we
get
definitely need to upgrade. This one works at 50% of this one. So I keep this one back here for just the extra effort. This one here's our main mic, and I try to keep it to where it's picking us both up from the side pretty comfortably. And I mean,
over the next couple of weeks, though, while you're still in the process of moving, and let's sit down and figure out what we need. Maybe we do just need.
My mom fell and broke her pelvis, so she can't get to the bank to get my title. So we're on a stalemate. Like, I get extra time.
I was gonna say, no, you're not. Fuck that. You got 90 days.
No, she's told me. She said, listen, I'm not pushing your 90 days because I can't do what I'm supposed. Because I told her.
Her age though, pelvis is not an easy break to recover from.
Yeah.
Bro. That's serious.
But like I said, I said, well, the state's going to help move my trailer because I'm poor. So
100%. Like you've already got a guarantee.
We got to do the application, but yeah. For our pay wage, yeah, we're good. The state will help move the trailer, but that's going to take 90 days by itself because they'll do it, but they're going to do it on their own. So, which is fair. It's fair. I don't like asking the government's help. Whatever you need to do, if it takes 90 days, takes 90 days. I want to get this done. Let's get it done. And if they won't, at that point, we'll have the title in hand. So taking out loans and stuff like that at that point will be negotiable ideas too. We can't do anything until we have the title to it. So stalemate. But
so now you're just saving up money, packing up boxes, the simple shit that you can do.
Yeah, because when we do move, we're going to have to get a hotel room for a couple nights. Get the plumbing hooked back up, power hooked back up. You know what I mean? We're going to be in a hotel a night or two. We're going to have to rent U-Haul trucks. We're probably going to have to get a storage facility just for a couple days, but that'll be a month's rent on it. I mean, there's things going to have to be done. But all good.
Well, then over the next couple of weeks, then I will, I'll get up here and say from 6:30 to 7. We'll just sit down and talk. What do we need to make this podcast better?
Right.
Do we need new software? Do we need a whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Right. We have to, next week's going to be an off week anyway because Riley will be in. So this will be dismantled and put back up over the next week.
Cool. I'm glad he finally gets a home visit. It's been a while, huh?
Yeah. He got a lot of ideas packed into those few days, but we'll do what we can. Get them fit in, get it to work.
Is he progressing to coming home? Is he still stuck in a certain stage, or is it Because he hasn't had home visits in a while. It seems like
Is
he
he
may have been in trouble or
I
something.
feel like he's progressing. He might just be growing up.
Has he been in trouble? Is that the reason why he hasn't had home visits?
He's hard-headed. I give him like props. So many props. But I'm hard-headed. I'm hard-headed.
Game recognizes game, right?
Yeah. He'd have ran any other man in the dirt. Like, this is what happens with an immovable object. He's an unstoppable force.
It's funny.
It's true though. Like he kept me on my toes. I gotta say that nicely. He kept me on my toes. Wow.
Anyway, during my late night stumbles on YouTube,
I can't stop watching this.
I happened to. It's pretty interesting for
Nature.
a few minutes. And I lose interest very quickly. So, anyway, how about I give you a news article that I guarantee you've never heard of.
Okay.
It is titled, and you can look it up, you can pull it up, whatever you need to pull up here. I don't know if you got this hooked up.
I don't know if it'll pull up like that, but I can at least pull it up on my phone.
So, bring up April 16th, 2013, Metcalf Power Plant. This story is titled.
Okay, give me the date again?
April 16th, 2013. Metcalf Power Plant.
Metcalf sniper attack.
Metcalf.
An attack was carried out on Pacific Gas and Electric Company Metcalf Transmission Substation in Coyote, California, near the border of San Jose. Going to Wikipedia. I know. First thing that came up.
This story is titled "The Greatest Terrorist Attack That You've Never Heard of." So apparently, one or two snipers.
Here's one that says the most terrifying attack you never heard of on YouTube. Is that it?
Look it up. Yeah, that's probably it.
That's it.
I heard this watching a Joe Rogan clip.
What is the most terrifying attack you can possibly imagine? For some, it's the prospect of a nuclear bomb. For others, chemical or biological agents. But among the list of potential outcomes, one option stands, by far, above the rest. That option is an attack on our power grid, disabling the use of electricity and leading to large-scale, persistent blackouts across a large, populated area. This concept is not new, and to demonstrate precisely how damaging it can be, I'd like to examine two separate historical events. First are the 2019 blackouts in Venezuela, after a mainline hydroelectric cable was overloaded, which left nearly all major cities of the country in the dark for over 90 hours. These events were catastrophic, especially considering the unstable reality of Venezuela's economy and political climate. After just one day, a widespread grid failure will threaten food supplies and medical patients. If residents find themselves in more extreme weather conditions, grid failure can mean hypothermia, frostbite, heat exhaustion, or dehydration. Virtually all critical infrastructure relies on the electric grid, from transportation to finance, telecommunications to water treatment. A grid failure constitutes a failure at the most basic foundational level of our modern society and lives, and while 4 hours may just be an inconvenience, 12 hours is a bit of a hassle. Days, or worse yet, weeks, can be catastrophic to our very way of life. For Venezuela, grid failure resulted in loss of life. It resulted in further instability and billions of dollars of damage. However, these effects were not simply isolated to Venezuela alone. They rippled outward as the blackouts began to shut down oil exports. It's difficult to ascertain precisely how much damage was caused, but the monetary toll and loss of life associated with this grid failure are staggering. For another example, we can look at the United States and a power grid failure in Texas. February 15th, 2021, temperatures in the state of Texas dipped below 10 degrees. Swept up in an Arctic cold front, the state's power grid would become strained and eventually collapse completely, as the temperatures dropped to near historic lows. Texas was not equipped for this meteorological nightmare, and over the span of 3 days, as many as 700 people lost their lives, with nearly $200 billion worth of additional damage. Over the years, events like these have proven just how vulnerable we are to a grid failure. And yet, despite this overwhelming evidence and the fragility of America to help utility companies bounce back, an unpredictable loss of life with global consequences in tow. So why does it all matter? It matters because of the Met 12:58 a.m. Inside an underground vault next to Route 101 near San Jose, AT&T fiber optic cables are severed. 1:07 a.m. Additional cables are severed in a local internet service provider's vault near the substation, causing residents of the surrounding area to lose internet access. 1:31 a.m. The only known footage of the attack is gathered by a CCTV camera pointed along a chain link fence on the outskirts of the substation. All that is seen is a flash of light, suspected to be a flashlight signal, and sparks. These sparks are later determined to be from bullets colliding with the fence itself as they pass through it. 6 minutes later, at 1:37 a.m., Pacific Gas and Electric receives a motion sensor warning from the area of fence directly adjacent to the camera and the sparks, believed to be from the sparks themselves. 1:41 a.m. A 911 call is placed by a nearby engineer at a power plant that still had outgoing call capabilities, claiming that he heard massive gunfire. The fiber optic cables that had been severed a few minutes earlier prevented nearly all surrounding areas from making outgoing calls. This engineer was in one of the very few unaffected locations, thus being able to call the police. 1:45 a.m. A full bank of transformers, having overheated after leaking 52,000 gallons of oil out into the substation, triggers an equipment failure alarm at the Pacific Gas and Electric Control Center. 5 minutes later, at 1:50 a.m. precisely, there is another flash of light, believed to be yet another flashlight signal. 1 minute after that, exactly 1:51 a.m., police arrive. There is no sign of suspicious activity. There are no suspects, just a calm, quiet, seemingly normal night. Officers leave shortly after they arrive. Over an hour later, at 3:15 in the morning, a Pacific Gas and Electric worker arrives to survey the situation and investigate why the alarms were actually triggered. He is met with an unknown number of bullet holes, over $15 million worth of damage, stacked rock piles, and over 100 shell casings outside the fence. In a comprehensive investigation, it was found that the stacked rocks were very likely used as a method of scouting the firing position. This is a tactic historically employed by certain very elite military squads, and it also discovered that every single one of the bullet casings had been fully wiped clean of any fingerprints. It was suspected that there had been between 2 and 6 gunmen positioned outside the fence firing well over 100 rounds into the station and specifically aiming for major vulnerable internal transformer components. The attackers were never once caught on camera. 1 minute before the police arrived, they ceased firing, signaled each other, and left. So quickly and so quietly that the officers had no idea anything was even wrong. Before the attack, they had severed specific fiber optic cables that disabled surrounding phones, as well as the bulk of internal substation sensors as well. During the attack, they heavily damaged or outright disabled 17 of the large-scale critical transformers in the substation, and they caused $15 million worth of damage, with frantic efforts by local utility companies to then reroute power through other Silicon Valley stations, and all of this in under 20 minutes. Transformers like those at the Metcalf substation weigh up to 500,000 pounds. At the time of the attack, there were only 7 companies in all of...
I mean,
Less than 2 hours.
less than 2
$15
hours.
million. And the only reason why I don't believe this is like some elite sniper unit is because they didn't police their brass. Like, elite snipers aren't leaving the brass there. So, like, I'm not saying this is like some fly-by-night crime. This is organized, but not to the point of a military organization level, unless it was left like that on purpose. You know what I mean?
Not on a U.S. military organizational level. I'm a devil's advocate. Just saying.
Yeah, somebody's got to play devil's advocate.
What government? I mean, the United States government, they just showed you, I don't know what kind of ammo was actually used, but they just showed you a bunch of 22 rounds.
Yeah, well, that's just one of those.
Yeah, did they use 22 rounds? Because that ain't the U.S. government. But you know what? Hey, if I wanted to hit cables,
If I wanted to do a lot of damage,
if I wanted to hit,
the 22 is probably the best round for it.
yeah, if I
mean,
wanted to hit
ricochets everywhere.
cables at 50 yards, 22. You can do it within 3 to 5 shots. You hit it. But I mean, that ain't half as scary as just, dude. I mean, do you know the main hub for the entire coast? They talk about it in Die Hard with a Vengeance. The biggest hub for the entire coast is in West Virginia. You shut that down, you shut everybody down. And that's electric. It's a utility hub. It's the central utility hub. I can talk about it. I know everybody knows about it. It's been in movies. The gas goes through there. The internet goes through there. The electricity goes through there.
You're talking.
You shut that down, everybody's fucked. Everybody.
Right.
Done.
But when you.
Now let's talk about the after effects. Power went out. Day 1. You're gonna work without a shower. No. Day 10. There's no food coming in the grocery store because there's no refrigeration trucks in there. They can't keep it cold.
Your refrigeration trucks don't run on
Well,
electricity.
there's no refrigeration in the
stores.
stores.
Your refrigeration trucks just become very, very valuable. They're the only things that are still running. But there's no electricity. You can't pump diesel to fill the trucks. So, I mean,
That's day 10. That's day 10.
but I thought that was interesting.
Day
It was-
14, you're shooting your neighbor because he wants that bag of ramen noodles you got left in your Dude, I'm not playing. It's like, people go mad fast.
Oh,
People
yeah.
go mad fast.
And
Power
that's why
goes out and it ain't coming back on.
Power goes out
you
for an
got
extended
less,
period of time. The cities is the worst place to
you got less than a month.
be. Because, what?
I don't mean to live. I mean, you got less than a month before things go absolutely
You got witness.
unpredictable.
I think you go 2 weeks without power. People are out in the streets and no internet, no nothing. People are going to go outside and find something. Whether that's for good or bad causes, you're going to find something to do. Might just beat up some cops. I don't know. I don't know what people do in that situation. As soon as I hear about the power going out for an extended period of time, get the fuck out of the city.
Right.
You
Right.
I mean,
But I got to find a new evac plan.
and it don't even have to be far out of the city. You just got to get out of the city.
Right.
Because once transportation is shut down, you know,
As long as you're out of the main zone.
you in the new place where you might be living, that's far enough out of the city. With no transportation, that's a long fucking walk, bro.
Yeah.
Pretty far out of the city. You know what I mean?
Close enough to go humping to go get some shit.
Yeah, but far enough where you ain't just gonna walk out there for no reason.
Right.
Like you got a purpose when you're walking out there.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I mean, it's all relative. You know, power goes out for an extended period of time, and there's no transportation. Dude, this block becomes the first battlefield.
Oh,
This
yeah.
block alone.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Oh, yeah.
that's get the fuck out as quick as you can. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting story. And then also on the same subject, apparently, you know, California has passed the law. Or, yeah, maybe it is a law. Yeah, I think it is a law. California did that no new gasoline vehicle will be sold after 2035. So, you know, they're transitioning everything to electricity. It's California, that's just the way things are. So recently, in the past week or so, there's a story out about how California uh, electric company, what is it, PSNG or whatever they call it.
Yeah, didn't they get raided by the FBI a couple years
Pacific
ago?
Gas Electric, PG&E or whatever the
Yeah,
company
yeah.
is out there.
EG&E.
Whatever the company is out there, they have asked that electric car owners not charge their cars as much because their electric grid is very heavily strained in the summertime because they're already running their air conditioning. So you just made laws that you have to be done with gasoline power cars. Everybody's transitioning to electricity cars because they're being made to. Now you're telling people to not charge their vehicles because it's going to cause a strain on the power.
Right now is when we invent the generator that comes with the electric car plug adapter that fits in the car trunk. Honda makes it. So we go ahead and put the electric car, we make it adaptable to a Tesla plug or a Ford plug. And we have one of each in the box. It's a gas generator so that people can recharge their cars on the road. They'll sell like hotcakes.
Well, it's going to sell like hotcakes. It's for you specifically, because I don't think either one of us are smart enough to figure that out. And I don't think we have enough money to hire the people that are smart enough to figure it out. I want you to be able to charge my electric car in the same amount of time I can fill up my tank of gas. If that can't happen, I will never buy an electric car. You can go fuck yourself. No, plug it in. Give me 3 minutes on social media. No, I should have a full tank of gas, a full tank of power.
Why can't
3 to 5 minutes tops, right?
Why can't there be a generator on the wheels? Go north. Why can't there be a generator on the wheels that recharges the battery as you're going down the road?
There are.
No,
There are. They actually use the heat from the rotors when you're braking and convert that into energy, and they feed that back into the system. But it's not enough to maintain the power. But, when you're running at certain speeds, everything else should be charging.
keep talking.
So that's the only downside to me right now.
Right.
Is I would buy an electric car. I don't have anything against it. But dude, when you're telling me I can go 300 miles on a full tank, that's cool. But then you're going to sit there and tell me it takes 8 hours to fill my tank?
Right.
No. Absolutely.
Right. And not
Absolutely not.
the adapters aren't universal. I might go to where I can charge my car and it not work on my car.
Yeah, and that's why there are a lot of people, a lot of cars. Ford, I heard this the other day. That's funny that you bring that up. I think it's Ford. Ford paid Tesla $1.6 million for the blueprints to their charging plug. Ford is starting to put Tesla plugs in their cars, so they're adaptable to the Tesla power stations. The Tesla power stations are the most common charging platform.
Well, that's
so
makes
that makes sense. If the other car people will do it, then Tesla will have a lock on the charging market.
I feel like hybrids
But
are the way to go.
I just don't see the feasibility of an electric car.
Our military runs on so much oil and gas and diesel, and our our truck routes. I don't, unless we got some kind of Jetsons grid upgrade that I don't know about. Unless Henry Stark's about to come out and be like, here's the whole new system of energy that we're using. We can't charge the trucks that diesel. We can't charge batteries to do the jobs that all of our diesel equipment does. And I don't just mean trucks. I mean bulldozers, heavy equipment, trucking trucks, logging trucks, the ones that got to go back on the mountain and such. You know what I mean? I feel like hybrid is a good way. I feel like if you live, this is going to sound crazy. Electric cars should be super cheap and borderline fucking cheesy looking. I know what you're thinking, but here's why. Because only if you live in a suburban to downtown commute area where you drive on average 10 miles a day to 20. Do you know what I mean? Like you live in a city. You live in a city. Millions of people live like this. From your house to your work.
Like 6 miles.
In an average city, that's kind of what most people kind of put in. To go back, we live rural. I live rural. Dude, I drive 30 minutes to work to get in the car and drive all day.
9
Yeah. Yeah. So, but no, when I lived in Pittsburgh, I was all about public transit. I was all about it. But if I would have drove on the days when I missed the T and I had to drive, it was a 10-minute drive. For situations like that, you should have electric cars. Because, even if you have to go out of your way and hit Walmart and the grocery store, you can still charge that car for little to nothing. 200-mile range is an excessive range if you grew up in a city, if you grew up in Manhattan, with the amount of driving you did on a day-to-day basis, you were super smart, and you invented an electric car, you would think a 200-mile range was absolutely insane. You would never think that some people put in 40 miles each way some days in Virginia to get back and forth to the mine or to the Buffalo plant up there in the Toyota plant in Buffalo. People drive an hour and a half to get there.
I do 40 miles a day just taking my daughters.
But if you grew up in a suburban area and your parents worked downtown, a 200-mile range would be a week's supply. And it would be, so if you live in a city, urban area, electric cars are for you. They absolutely are.
I don't see nothing wrong with it.
But if you live in an urban environment, don't tell me, but that's the thing about it. The people of LA and the people of San Diego are the deciding factor for the people in Northern California. And they got to have gas vehicles. They got to use 2 tanks to get to where the yuppies with the electric cars live.
That's exactly the reason why they can't just force people to do stuff like that. You can't just put a blanket law on something like that. There's always going to be somebody out in the woods somewhere that can't have an electric vehicle.
I don't know, why is hydrogen power not the answer?
You know what? I was just going to say, you know who the next Elon Musk is?
Who?
By far, it's the person that makes the nuclear power plant the size of this plate so we can put them in cars.
Why not?
Because everything's nuclear power, it's clean, it's safe, and you can go wherever the fuck you want forever.
They've already murdered 3 people that came out with that. Ford has a hydrogen engine.
They
had for just a minute.
I'm sure they didn't tear it apart.
Right. For all entertainment purposes, you know, while we're talking about the advancement of hydrogen engines.
Like some big trucking company over at the Big Weekly pumping up with compressed natural gas. It's a natural.
Oh yeah, that's a thing now, dude.
It's like that shit was cheap. It's just like barely $3 a gallon, like $2.80 a gallon or something.
You can't have that. It's too expensive. It's not safe for you.
It's safe for big truck.
I'm saying. I don't know what's up with that.
Make a trip to
I'll get you.
Yeah, I guess we need to get on your book here. So,
Here you go, sir.
appreciate you, buddy.
Oh, so much stuff went on this week. The Gilgo Beach murderer, dude.
Briefly saw something about that.
They're pretty vague about it, which tells me I think it's pretty horrific. They're going to make us wait for the Lifetime special. They know he did 3. They think he did 11. Maybe more. They know he did 3. They're pretty sure he did 6. They think maybe he did 11. I think that's how it went.
Sounds like a lot of what the fuck. Sounds like I don't really know shit.
No. He's just been murdering them and throwing them in the ocean. And it's just basically like he's been throwing them in the ocean. Like, you know, like he was living a double life. You think he's married? They interviewed his wife. They only let like 3 or 4 words get said before they started talking over her, and it was just her with silence in the background. But you could tell she was pissed. Like,
Like apparently she filed for divorce like the minute he got arrested.
why can't he just fuck his secretary like everybody else?
Right. I haven't seen too much on that one.
Yeah, I've been watching.
Like I said, I've been trying to detach myself from a lot of the news. Just keeping up on some topics, you know, not trying
To be honest,
to overwhelm myself with it.
I'm not going to get into a room handle about it, but I've been more of a spiritual study lately. I mean, I check the politics every day, but there's really only 4 or 5 subjects. So you're really just checking up to see what's going on, even though they're hot topics. But I'm not riding it like I was. I mean, I did ride around 2 days this week and listen to judicial hearings, but we all knew I was going to do that. I love whistleblowers. And, you know, and to me, it's like a sport. Like, I listen to this.
Especially like
I want to hear the Democrats have a logical argument or a solid, you know, a good solid hubbub about what's going on. You know what I mean? Have a question. I said this a couple of weeks ago. One question? Do you have one question?
no, I'm just gonna sit here and slander you for whatever we get, 5 minutes. Just gonna
You
slander
know, like, you know, there's not one Democrat that's like, all right, you know, I didn't think this was possible, so, you know,
you.
I read your report, and honestly, I'm a little flustered, you know, and then have like, so this happened, you know, and then have questions. I'm not even saying like in any manner feel like they were put in place or changed their mind or feel like the guy proved something to him. No. I just see one of you have a fucking question. It's not about Donald Trump. One of you.
They've got 3
Hang on.
and then they're going to yield the remaining of their time to Senator Cobblepot so that he could slander them for the other 5.
Let's see here.
But the greatest part about this was a Democratic homosexual person.
Yeah.
This was one of their own.
And when he came out and
Like,
said,
and like to watch the way the Democratic people were, they were trying to make him sound like a right-wing extremist, but they couldn't.
right.
And the way he just answered all of their questions,
And
and it was just so
point-
great because like he was so it's working. You know, it's great.
At one point, he so beautifully said, I don't know if the fact that I'm a registered Democrat and married to a man makes my testimony more or less believable. Oh my Lord. What was that, the House Judiciary Committee? I'm trying to find a specific. Yeah, but I mean, yeah, they never have any questions whatsoever. And in their opening statements, what's her name? This lady here, what's her name? Stacy Plaskett. Dude. I mean, we weren't even getting into RFK yet. But what she said to the whistleblowers at the opening, and it's keywords. Listen to the trigger words. I'll tell you, if I ever tell you about the arrow on the FedEx truck.
Hey,
And you
I
hated,
know what you're talking about.
and you hated me ever since, because you always see the arrow.
Yeah.
So she uses trigger words, and they all do. And me and you don't react to them. I don't know what program made them react to them, but they're trigger words, and you'll hear them all say them over and over again. And she did it with RFK too, and she used the exact same words. Trump, racist, sideshow. Like they have the same words that they use over and over again in all their arguments. And it's a psychology thing. And once you catch them, you'll be like, you all said the exact same thing over and none of you had a question. How is it down the party line so solid? This is
The same way, which on that point, Republicans are just as guilty. When they're in the minority, they do the attacking on the witnesses. I've seen it happen. We both have.
This should be a bipartisan issue.
It never is. That's the thing.
If it was on trial right now, and I don't mean like, okay, so they put Trump through 3 impeachments and da-da-da-da. We never met one whistleblower that they said existed, etc., etc. So this is not the same thing. So before one of them jump out, what about Trump? This is not the same thing.
Because
If a whistleblower had came forward, no, not A. If a group of whistleblowers had came forward during the Trump administration that were part of the IRS and said that under the president's command, the DOJ and the FBI refused to allow us to investigate crimes that his son may or may not have committed. Either A, my argument is going to be, it's some bullshit, just let them investigate. They want to investigate. This not letting them investigate just makes you look guilty. B, there should not be a direct line from the president to an investigatory committee inside the government helping a sitting administration cover up crimes of him or any other family member. That is the politicization of government on a whole. I wouldn't want that under my president either. I'd be pissed. You did what? You know, you can't call the DOJ and say, hey, make sure the FBI tells the IRS not to investigate my son's bank transfers. That just makes you look fucking guilty as shit.
Now that you bring that up, it might just be another expansion of government. But do you see the fix to that problem? If there's a Democrat president, say Joe Biden, has Merrick Garland as his attorney general, so automatically makes the second in command of Merrick Garland, deputy attorney general, whatever, assistant attorney, whatever.
Right.
That very next person should automatically be of the opposite party. Like there should automatically be not necessarily a second in command. Make it clear that I'm the attorney general, but you're right there, like as a check on that power, because it's the executive, the judicial, and the legislative branch are all supposed to check each other. But if you're the president and you're the leader of the executive branch and you appoint the leader of the judicial branch, which is the attorney general, right? Leader of the, or maybe the Supreme Court. I don't know who the leader of the judicial branch is. I should look that up. Is it the attorney general? Yeah. Or is it the Supreme Court?
Ooh.
The leader of the judicial branch. Is that not? That sounds like it should be a answer.
I mean, I feel like the Supreme Court is like.
I feel like I should know this.
Is like the gods above Mount Olympus. Like so, like that's some different. The Supreme Court is.
Who is the leader of the judicial branch?
The chief. Oh wow. Okay. He's the man.
Judicial.
But that's judicial.
That's who.
So literally,
That's
dude,
who law enforcement falls under.
we're looking at it all wrong. They literally like on a. It's funny. It's like on a Fight Club or James Bond level, just put all the pawns in all the right places.
Yeah.
And who was it that fired a bunch of people and rehired a bunch of people? Obama, wasn't it? I think he did. I think he fired, like, he's the one that rewrote the military test. And entertainment purposes, I'm 99.9% sure because I had a couple of people who took the test say the only change was it asked if you would fire on citizens of your own. And I don't know which answer got you fired, but some people got fired.
Literally, it's the oath that you swear to. I will protect the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. So the right answer is yeah, yes. Technically, given a lawful order, yes.
Right.
Problem with that is just because you say it doesn't make it lawful.
Right.
If I feel like it goes against a lot of morals or whatever, then it's also my lawful duty to ignore an immoral order.
Very much. Very much.
That's
Yeah.
the thing that today's military just you just follow blindly.
Well, did you hear the new rule? Transgenders in the military?
I don't know about a rule, but I did hear that the military will no longer pay for any surgeries or medication. You have to provide your own insurance for that medication now, apparently. Maybe I heard that wrong, but I think I heard that they.
New military rule on transgender deployment. This just came out this week. I don't want to misstate it, but
I mean, I don't really care one way or the other. If you're military capable and ready, I don't give a fuck what you identify.
well, apparently the
But if
new
you're gonna
rule.
join the military with your woke
The new
bullshit,
rule is going to be that if you're transgender, that you don't have to deploy on combat assignments, and also your military insurance will begin to pay for your surgeries and what is it called, hormones and such. Again, trying to find the.
see, I must have heard something different.
This just came out like this week. I've read about it in 2 or 3 places. Let me go straight to Google.
I mean, hell, we know the military don't pay shit.
New military rule on transgender deployment.
So they provide this benefit in their insurance.
Oh, okay. Man, I've seen this 3 times this week, but so you know, internet.
Yeah, dude, I don't really care. This is the one place. The one place. Keep your woke bullshit.
Right.
The defense of our country doesn't fucking care what you identify.
And see, there it is.
Just
there.
if you're willing and
Catholic
able to follow orders and fight for our country, then I don't care.
Oh, I really don't care either.
But I just feel like you're going to start not introducing, engaging and spreading the wokeness throughout our military, which creates weakness.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right.
It's okay to be woke, but you have the freedom to be woke because of the strength of our military. So just don't go in there and weaken it with that bullshit.
There you go.
If you're willing to fight and follow orders and do what you're supposed to do, by all means. I don't care.
No. That's very, very, that's it. That's it. That's it.
Dude, just don't expect me. If you're a girl and you want to be a man and you want me to treat you like a man, I will punch you in the face and buy you a beer. That's what we do.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't expect anything. I'm not going to treat you differently.
There's a girl on TikTok the other day crying. She transitioned to a man, and she's like, I'm so lonely.
Yeah.
It's so hard to be a man.
No one told me it was this hard.
Welcome to the Thunderdome. You wonder why we love Batman when we're kids, but love the Joker when we grow up. Now you understand. So, I listened to, you told me last week, you were like, dude, you got to listen to the Tucker Carlson interview of Vivek Ramaswamy. I would like to one-up you, sir. You need to listen to the John Stossel interview. Nobody asks questions like John Stossel. Huge fan of him, man. Love his interviews.
I watched the one with Tim Pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
See the one.
John Stossel.
John Stossel. I'll look that up.
He used to be on 60 Minutes. Dude, everything, dude. If you ever see this, Mr. Stossel, everything he does is gold. It is gold. He might do something on something, and you might totally disagree. Not you. Okay, you know what? He's one of the few people I'll say, you might not like what he's telling you. But I bet bottom line, what he's telling you came from honest, fucking digging some journalism. Like, he's solid. Like, he'll call out some bullshit. But I like how he's petty about it. I guess that's the best way to put it, is he's petty about it. Like, he'll be like, so the government said, you know, what's a random for entertainment? The government said, potato chips aren't that bad for you. They're healthy, you know, they're healthy. But the side of the bag says, you know, and this dietitian says, I love his shit. Like,
all you need to know is this little stat. And I learned this a couple years ago, and I like to tell this to everybody that I get a chance to. It's just fun. So, McDonald's is a worldwide corporation.
Right.
So, the U.S. and Great Britain have two totally different sets of rules and things that they allow in their country. That's all the way down into the food. A lot of the things that we eat in this country aren't allowed in other countries.
Oh, no.
For instance, and I heard this, there are 3 ingredients in McDonald's French fries. And it's literally potatoes, salt, and vegetable oil. However they hydrogenated, however they label it,
Right.
vegetable oil, however they fry their shit. 3 ingredients. Those same French fries, same McDonald's, same French fries in America, have 22 ingredients. I can't imagine what the other 19 ingredients are, other than potatoes, salt, and vegetable oil. But holy shit, bro. And it makes you wonder why.
I don't want to look.
Did you know? Did you know? You might stumble across it on your social media, depending on what you look at, what you follow. But did you know that less than 1% of all men age 16 to 70, whatever the age group is, it goes higher than that. All men, less than 1% have a six-pack.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, there is no real dominant American male figure.
No, we're all
kind
dad
of
bods
fat
now.
and
We
lazy.
look like Spartans and shit.
We all kind of look like.
You know, the smartest thing China and Russia did was they went from the fuck around and find out generation. They said, no way, no way. And then they waited through the don't make me get up generation. And they patiently waited for the I don't know if I can get up generation. And now they're looking at us like, what are you boys doing over there? What's your name? Fuck you, Tony. Speaking of all that, telling you,
It was just a little.
telling you yesterday, Ramaswamy is tying with DeSantis in
Yes.
some polls.
And you know, I think Ramaswamy is running a good grassroots campaign. You know, like it's like very little known that this man, even though he's a billionaire, he did start his campaign with a six-figure loan from himself to his campaign. Yes, that's true. But he has not received one donation over $250, which tells me that this is a very relatable but lower income kind of person. I think it's called grassroots, maybe.
Yeah.
Like where
Well,
he just gets a whole bunch of small donations.
That's kind of how Donald Trump did it first time, too, though.
Yeah. So I do think that he is going to make a big splash. And that he will make a huge increase if somehow they convict Donald Trump on any of these trumped up charges.
I don't think
Like,
they will.
I don't think so either. But from what I understand, where he's being indicted on these charges, you can literally, they say in New York and D.C., they literally say you can indict a ham sandwich. That's their saying in New York.
Right.
It's such a left-leaning grand jury that they assemble.
Right.
They literally indicted him for charges in New York that the federal attorney general office wouldn't investigate. So that alone says it's just bullshit charges.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're just trying to.
Now,
They're trying to
DC,
time it. They're trying to time it for the election too. Dude, the first debate is exactly 1 month away, dude.
Something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Who keeps giving Haley money?
oh man, who knows? I mean, like she's
She's ran for president 5 times. She ain't aged yet, and I don't think she's real. I think she's AI.
she's a very calm, level-headed person, but she's not the kind of person you really want leading your country.
No.
She doesn't give off the vibe like that, but
Ran-
she seems like she's a great leader of something else. She was already our Secretary of State, right?
Yeah.
Is that her?
Yeah.
Like under Trump.
But she keeps running. Well, and she worked at the UN for years.
But she was also the governor of South Carolina.
Right. I'm just saying, I'm not judging the candidacy. Who keeps giving her enough money to run a funded campaign? She's done it 3 times. Where are the people going? Oh, Nikki's running again. Let's get her some money. Where they at? Where I ain't seen a bumper sticker, yard sign. I ain't never heard nobody go, you know who I want to vote for.
That's exactly the reason why Donald Trump needs to stay out of these first 2 debates.
No.
He doesn't even need to be involved.
Tear them up
No.
from the beginning.
Not at all. Let
Skip
them
the second one.
No, you want to skip the first one if you're going to skip any of them. Because there are going to be at least 3 or 4 of these candidates that drop out after the first debate. There are going to be some of these candidates that you see on there. There's like 12 of them.
He's like the boss. You got to debate everybody else before you debate.
Right. That's not what I'm really getting. That's not what I'm getting at. Like actually, you have to have 40,000 independent donors to qualify for the first debate. And there's like several of those candidates that haven't qualified yet. So if you brought up a list of the candidates right now, I can point out the ones that haven't qualified. I can't remember their names, but Asa
Trump.
Hutchinson
Okay, wait.
was one.
Here's the ones on the polls. Trump, DeSantis, Scott, Ramaswamy, Haley, and Pence.
All of those have qualified.
They keep sleeping on Ramaswamy. And I feel like that's
Well,
their
that poll, I don't think
biggest
that poll was
That's from this morning.
this morning.
That was live this morning, MSNBC actually. Yeah, I was watching MSNBC before you got here.
I feel like the comments in the Tucker Carlson interview just destroyed my.
He's only at 4%. And I feel like that's a generous 4% from MSNBC. I feel like DeSantis is who they want.
But there are several people below them.
Scott's running at 11%.
Tim Scott's got he's the South Carolina Republican.
Yeah,
black guy. He's got it all going for him. He's well spoken.
If they can get Trump out of the way.
That's exactly what any of these Republicans that are running again in the primary right now,
It'll be
only
between
there
DeSantis and Ramaswamy. And DeSantis, while he's running at a higher percentage now, has shot the homosexual vote in the head.
he's lost points.
Yeah.
Ramaswamy's gained points.
Yeah. So that's that.
They're tied now, but really it's only like a net.
And it's not even
game.
and it's not even over the overstepped issues that we might discuss with the political movement of the community. He straight just made a video that was like, Trump likes gay people. You know, like you took the entire, you shot the boat down.
Wow.
Oh my God, it's impressive. I don't want your votes. Dude, you know what? It's shit like that scares me when short people act like that. You know?
Don't. I think 12. There were 12. The last time I checked, there were 12 candidates. Only there's 4 or 5 of them that hadn't even qualified for the first debate.
I mean, just with that lineup, I mean, we're going to get knocked down.
That right there will get knocked down to 3 after the first debate.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that's
That's
going
why
to be.
Trump doesn't need to be there. He's the top dog no matter what.
And he's running 46%. And that's just like that's them shaving off points because it's MSNBC and they can't tell you the truth.
Republican voters, strictly Republican voters, it's like 82%.
And whatever name, if they arrest him, whoever he endorses gets it all. Gets it all.
But even if they arrest him, it still doesn't disqualify him from being
Right.
which, and then, when you're indicted, technically you're arrested, fingerprint booked,
Right.
That doesn't phase it.
They're
But
trying.
the problem is, like, you have tax documents case been scheduled for December, and the J6 or New York case has been scheduled for May.
The J6 case is stupid.
It is, but it's coming up.
Yeah.
They haven't indicted him yet.
The
but it's
people
coming.
are the thing is the harder they push. Like, feel like they think that if they push this hard enough, the right will rise up and do something stupid. But in fact, what's happening is the more they do this, the more you hear your liberal friends going, start to hear what you were saying with the whole, they just made shit up. They got no evidence. There's evidence to the contrary. And they're legally making a case out of it. Like, it's having the opposite effect. But
Which is why you're seeing him jump.
what would be more is if that if the followers of the left finally got fed up and felt betrayed by the left itself. You can't get us to riot, but you can get them to riot. They're pretty comfortable in it.
I'm not a really big follower of anything they do, but 2016 showed anything to me. I don't know how any Democrat can honestly say their party puts the best possible candidate forward. They literally stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders in 2016. 2016 was the most egregious thing. 2020, he lost to another old fuck. Only difference is fucking Joe Biden ran as a more centrist Democrat and portrayed Bernie as the far left. The exact opposite is what has happened.
Right.
Joe Biden's more far left.
Right.
Bernie would have never done a lot of the shit that Joe Biden's doing.
Right. Right.
Even though Bernie's
Well,
an
that's
admitted
why-
socialist Democrat.
That's why Bernie
Democratic socialist, whatever he calls himself.
That's why Bernie didn't. That's why Bernie didn't get the nomination. He wouldn't have towed that line. He wouldn't have.
And because he's an independent,
Yeah.
he never received the Democratic nomination.
Right.
An independent can never be elected president because of Ross Perot. They changed that rule.
That doesn't. See, that's.
Did you know that George Bush and Ross Perot, after that election, before that election, they were Republicans, they were friends, they talked, they spoke. After that election, they never spoke again. George Bush was 100% convinced that Ross Perot stole that election. Because he stole 60-some billion votes.
Ross Perot was a beast.
That's it.
I remember as a kid, because my brother kind of followed politics. He was on a show, and they brought up a conversation. I don't remember what the conversation was. And this man pulled a binder out and flipped through it and started pointing at charts and showing the numbers for shit. And then back here, and he was looking at this chart. And it was between these years, and if nothing else, man, make him a press secretary. So, RFK, Robert Kennedy. Robert Kennedy needs to run our FDA.
For sure.
I was gonna say, man, I gotta be up at 3. So.
Oh, okay, we can end it.
Yeah, we'll
I
cut
just want
this
to grab
down
that
to
before it freezes.
What? Oh yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up soon.
Yeah, hit. What you've seen this week?
We'll do a rundown when you get back.
I mean, without jumping into depth, that 1023 was pretty damning.
Not too much depth, but I heard that what's in the 1023 is pretty damning.
Oh yeah.
So that's great, and let's stick that in our back pocket, and let's move on to the next phase of it.
Yeah, because there's some shit now.
There's some shit that's way deeper than that. So, like you said,
Marjorie Taylor Greene, ma'am. Did you see it?
No, I know.
She's like, I would like to start with explicit content, and held up a black thing with yellow and an exclamation point, that said, "Caution, explicit content." She said, "I would just like to warn viewers over the next few minutes there will be explicit content." And she proceeded to go so far as to put up a poster of the president's son, a proxy. Right. And she was like, "So here's the thing. He used one of his underground company accounts to pay for a assistant to fly out from the other side of the country." And I think she was young, to fly out from the other side of the country, and took all these pictures with her. And she looked down at the whistleblower, and she's like, "Is this the assistant?" And he was like, "According to bank records, man, I believe that is accurate." Like, so, like, she had him in like 5 violations of the Mann Act. Human trafficking a female from all the way across the country. Again, before I stop, dude, don't hang out. I like check girls. Anyway, of age.
Hunter Biden's 53.
Yes, of age. I'm not going up to the 5 lakes and chasing kids.
Matter of fact, I like them well aged.
We'll talk about who Russia fucked up next week. Cause, okay, first off, let me just say, you blew up the bridge. You admitted you blew up the bridge. Dude.
Who's you?
NATO. They admitted they're the ones that hit that bridge. I think they were about to take a move on Belarus, and then then they went, "You know what?"
Said any attack on Crimea is an attack on Russia.
Yeah.
So blowing up the bridge to Crimea is an attack on Russia.
So he has officially shut off the grain deal. He has cut off their access. He has taken the Black Sea. Yeah, he has cut their access off. They're done.
Right.
So that's fair. It's fair.
Seems like it.
We've had to come out and admit, like, it's coming out. By next week, you'll have heard we blew up the Nord Stream. It's bubbling from the surface from foreign news sources. We blew up the Nord Stream.
Hold on, how is this now news?
It's getting to be news. We knew because we do our research and we listen to.
It's not really about research. It's common sense. Number one, who's the only 2 people in the world that have a reason to blow this up? Russia, because they're mad. Okay, we'll just turn it off.
But here's the thing. Here's what happened.
The U.S. is the only person that blows that up. They blow that up so that now Europe is dependent on Saudi oil. Period. The end.
Here's what happened. The U.S. walked into a room with Finland, Sweden, Poland, and all them folks. It was like, "We'll blow up the Nord Stream, and it'll choke off their resource money, and we'll dominate them." And they were like, "That'll work." And we did it. We did it. And then they're like, "Hey guys, this is one hell of an ecological disaster. Who's going to pay for this?" Hey, I think America might have. We think we might have evidence that America blew up the North. We didn't have nothing to do with it. It must have been some top secret shit. We don't know nothing. I think America might have done it. That's what's going on. I look at the world from common sense terms.
No, what's going on? Joe's like,
so
what'd y'all say?
So Russia,
I agree.
Russia has some kind of huge buildup. There was just that big explosion in, what was that? Saint Paul, Saint Pierre, wherever it is, in Russia.
I saw the clip of the bridge being blown up.
So Russia's got a big buildup. Apparently, the Wagner Group has been seen in Belarus in record numbers. This is WION India.
Absolutely.
So that dude's not dead.
No.
That dude's
It's
trained.
reassembling in Belarus for an attack on Kyiv.
I don't think they're going to hit Kyiv.
Because from Belarus, Kyiv is only like 100 miles away.
You think they're just going to burn him out? You know, Russia's about had enough of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's been nice. He's been nice, and he's been nice for a minute, and I think he's tired of being nice. He's like, listen, I've been hitting you with fly swatters and Cold War equipment. Like, I've hit you with a couple drones, a couple. But I don't know if y'all noticed this or not, but you sent drones at me, and an EMP automatically just shut them motherfuckers down before they got here. Like, he's got more than he's showing you. He ain't showed you the aces. I don't think he's shown you the kings. I think he's just kind of been throwing jacks your way. Like, I think something big's about to break off. He's cut off the port. You know, cutting off the port does some military shit too.
Of course.
It
stops Ukraine's flow of money too.
He has considered
Their number one export is grain.
anything coming in and out of that port is now considered hostile. He will sink it. Like, he has stopped fucking around, and he's building up military.
I guess the question in that aspect is the Black Sea considered Russian territory, or is it international waters?
Right.
If it's international waters, they will, sir, you can attest to this, they will certainly receive full brunt of the United States Navy. They are no hosts. Say what you want. I mean,
You're right.
you know what? Your uniforms are stupid as fuck, but those guys don't fucking play. Like, those motherfuckers will rain hell upon you from 47 miles away. Like,
They'll hit your trailer hitch.
bro,
They will hit your trailer
that's
ball.
how the fucking
hitch.
the flying Ginsu blade hit the dude in Afghanistan from the Iranian Sea or whatever the fuck it was.
Right.
That shit was from a fucking ship. Precisely on his front porch.
He was drinking, listening to that guy over there on that man thing. Go, da, 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 da.
17 pieces. One sip of coffee.
Who built that? Who built that? You know he was proud when they loaded it up.
Yeah, no, he was proud when he saw the results. You know they got pictures.
Henry Kissinger visited China. That's a conversation that we should have got into. We won't do it. He visited China. He met with the defense minister of China. This was the 100th visit. China considers him an old friend. The Biden administration and our intelligence services, and we don't know what was said, nobody does, but they say that they regret him going to visit them. They wish that he had. He went as a private citizen. He met with Xi and the defense minister of China. Now, it's Henry Kissinger. He's the one that got the peace treaty between America and Japan. So, you know, he's buddies with these people. He's 100 years old.
He knows it.
Yeah. They said that like Biden had like 15 people in the room. They were all reporters. Like Henry Kissinger, like they had to like limit the reporters. Like they said it was a huge ordeal. So like he way overshadowed the Biden administration. And I think from everything that I read that's going on right now, timing with the visit, I think he went to talk about Taiwan. And I think we'll know the answers to that next week.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's no doubt that China's sitting back, they're watching. They see America's response to Russia's aggression.
Right.
They see that it doesn't fucking matter. China could literally overtake and occupy Taiwan in less than 24 There's not a fucking thing we can do about it. Except what? Bomb the fuck out of them?
Well, that
They're
was our
our
answer.
ally. We can't
That's
bomb
our
the fuck
answer.
out of a small island.
We scared the shit out of them 2 months ago because they were like, well, we've got like, there's 3 or 4 plants there that make like top secret shit.
Almost all the semiconductors. We are starting to make a lot of them here now.
Yeah.
But there's
But they're like, if China takes the
80% of the
island,
world's population are out of Taiwan.
if China takes the island, our contingency plan, we've already announced it, is to bomb the main production facilities for chips and
Huh?
fuck yeah.
America!
Yeah, that's kind of where that's at. If we can't have it, no one can. Or maybe it's here.
I mean, we have plants here.
Maybe
that are
we
starting to
shouldn't
make
have
that shit.
contracted our top secret,
So here's
our
unknown
top
fact.
secret needs
I
to
want
foreign entities.
Since you said you had to get up, I want to share this with you. I just learned this today. In the next 5 years, as a matter of fact, they've already started breaking ground. So this is already happening. In Jackson County, Ravenswood to be specific, in the next 5 years, the top 5 producers of aerospace materials for airplanes, space shuttles, F-16s, but anything that flies at high speeds and high velocity, and whatever. But 5 of those, like Boeing, several of them that I'm unsure of, T&M Metal, there's a whole bunch of them that are starting to do testing and manufacturing facilities in Jackson County. In the next 5 years, people that can follow directions and work with their hands, and it's going to explode.
Bill Gates wants to put a nuclear power facility in
I was just going to bring this up. You know who this is?
Who?
Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett. Almost every one of these companies belong.
We're going to get our own line.
I'm telling you, dude, if
West Virginia's going to.
you want a good fucking job, Jackson County is about to be booming, and you're 20 minutes away. Like, holy shit.
Right.
I'm telling you, all you got to do is get a medical marijuana card. So you can get started.
You know, the government's starting to remove it from. Yeah, 'cause how does that work? Like, if I go get a medical marijuana card and I walk into the hospital, say, get a job, and they send me down for a drug test, I hand them my medical marijuana, and I don't have to worry about that coming up on my drug
It
test.
doesn't matter if it comes up. And they'll just tell you that, you suspect that you're high at work.
Right.
You know what I mean? My buddy got a job. He works up there. He makes like $24 an hour. He tests titanium for stress fractures. This titanium is supposed to be used in space shuttles and shit like that to see what they can withstand. So SpaceX was one of them.
Oh, wow.
Just a testing point. I could be building a lot of shit here. But anyway, it's like the next 5 years, I mean, booming in Jackson County. I told my buddy, like, right now, I gotta get out of the car. Get out of the car and get her way to finish high school. Right, go up to Jackson County and start working.
Right.
Money's there, dude.
Right. I think it's cool how West Virginia gets things like that.
Yeah, because the property values are so cheap.
Right.
So,
Well, everybody, we may see you next week, may not, but either
probably
way,
not.
we got a lot of things.
Probably
You know, I'm just trying to avoid talking about certain things until there's a big enough bang, even with all the things that are coming out. But kudos to the whistleblowers, because, wow. Wow.
Their whole careers are at risk.
And, you know, RFK, I'll vote for him for president if somehow he got there. But,
Definitely voting for him before I vote for fucking Biden. I promise you
definitely.
that.
But,
Like, I hope it don't come to that. Let's see what happens.
but, somebody should put him head of the FDA. So, the man knows some shit that he should, that you know, is vital. And I think we need to get on the same boat with the other countries that don't allow certain bullshit.
100%.
But, talk to y'all soon.
Deuces.